There are a couple of short reasons why people should consider using SharePoint with IBM I, and in particular IBM I spool data. And the first is that it can be easily searched using the Microsoft product, as opposed to the way most people work with spool files, which is through the green screen. The second reason is that it's simply less expensive to store your spool data on a Microsoft system than on high-performance IBM I disk, or even in the cloud, where the cost could be quite low. Third reason is this: you can make this spool file data accessible without security issues, without granting access to your system, without training people on how to work with the green screen. You can just export this to SharePoint and have people work with it there, or without printing it, which of course is logistically a pain. The fourth reason is that you can edit the spool data using Microsoft tools, which most people already know or find intuitive, which is of course the great strength of Microsoft. And the fifth reason is that normally speaking, spool data is only accessible to people who have some knowledge of the IBM I. But when you export it to SharePoint, you greatly broaden the audience. Those are just 5 quick reasons why you should consider exporting your spool data to SharePoint. And Jim Taxi will now discuss why SharePoint.
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Jim Taxi, and I'm the resident Microsoft person, and I'll be taking us through the rest of the demo today. And we're going to start off with the question of why SharePoint. And over the last 5 or 6 years, SharePoint has become kind of the prevailing winds within the enterprise content management world as far as the chosen platform for companies to move forward with regards to setting up document management. And so what we're going to focus on today is ways to use SharePoint to store, search, and retrieve electronic documents. Now, the good news is that a lot of companies, even if they're running an I-series environment, are also concurrently running some version of a Microsoft server. So within the Microsoft server environment, SharePoint is part of that platform. And so a lot of companies right now are looking how to make that transition both into the Microsoft SharePoint world and figuring out what their document strategies are going to be. Now, what's nice about what we're going to show today is that this is a relatively simple process as far as creating a SharePoint document library. It's really kind of quick and easy to set up. And what's really flexible and wonderful about SharePoint is that it's a platform. So by defining it as a platform, it's essentially what you'll see in here is that there's many moving parts to SharePoint, and it really is hinged on what the company is looking to do as far as setting up either document libraries or a set of workflows. So the million-dollar question is, what is SharePoint? And this is just kind of an overview of the architecture of SharePoint. So in this, we're going to focus on the content piece of it, and then we're also going to show you just kind of quickly how to search documents. But the search feature of the SharePoint environment now has become one of its strong suits, because now it's actually tightly integrated in where you don't have to bring in third-party search tools. The communities piece is really designed for the collaboration. Sites are going to allow you the ability to geographically or organizationally define different parts of the company. And then composites really gives the ability for design capabilities without having any knowledge of web design or web interface. And then the insights is really the business intelligence piece of the SharePoint environment. This allows us to build complex workflows around documents or whatever's being put in as far as content goes into the SharePoint environment. So the screen we're looking at right now is the actual iDocs form suite. So this is a product that belongs to inFORM Decisions. This is our native I-series application that allows us to convert the spool file into a fully formatted PDF. Part of the iDocs suite is going to be our iMap tool. And what this is that this is a split screen that allows us to, on one side, have a template. On the other side is the spool file. and with the ability to basically drag and drop the spool file information onto the template that now will populate our fully formatted PDF files that we're going to hand off into the next part of the process. So with that, you've got the merged form application with the spool data, and then this would be what the fully formatted PDF file looks like. Now, for the demo purposes today, what we're going to use is we're going to use a spool file that is confidential information coming off the iSeries. With that being said, the confidential information's got values on it that need to be protected in an environment. So what we're going to do is when we push all this information off into SharePoint, we're going to show you a couple different ways that the tools that we offer give you the ability to protect the information heading into SharePoint, therefore retaining the confidentiality of things like Social Security numbers not being exposed to a user looking at a PDF file. So down here on the bottom of the file, you'll see that I've got 4 fields highlighted in red. So what we're going to do is we're going to extract these values. So we're going to call these our metadata values. So we're going to pull out the employee name, we're going to pull out the employee number, date of birth, and Social Security number. What we're going to do is we're going to actually have a twofold process when we do this. Is we're going to actually, upon pushing this out, we're going to push out 2 separate PDF files simultaneously. One's going to have a complete open PDF file where the Social Security number is visible. And obviously that would require administrative rights to have the ability to see that file. Secondarily, we're going to push out a PDF file that's got a redaction on it. The redaction is that black bar that's going to sit over the Social Security number that hides this 100% hidden with 100% confidentiality that nobody can get into that Social Security number. As well as what we're going to do is, as well as the PDF files, we're also going to pick off these index values. So we're going to hand off employee name, employee number, date of birth, Social Security number. One library that we're going to set up, this would be an administrative library. This is going to allow the Social Security number to be viewed. The second library that we're going to push out to simultaneously is going to be more of a public library where people with not administrative access can look at files, but you won't be able to see the Social Security number either as an index value or on the PDF file itself. So essentially what we've done at this point is that we've created a PDF file and from the iDocs tool, and we've dropped it into a hot folder. The hot folder is being monitored by iCapture. When iCapture sees those files drop in there, it goes in and processes it. The process is completely automated from start to finish. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to step you through the process today because an automated process makes for a horrible demo. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to import the PDF files. So here's my PDF files that have been created by iDocs, and we are going to now capture them. And what you'll see down here on the bottom is that these 4 fields, employee name, employee number, date of birth, and Social Security number, are going to be retrieved automatically without any user intervention on this process whatsoever. So this next step, you'll see that these 4 index values or metadata values will be automatically populated. So without any user intervention, we create a logic in this process that goes and allows us to pick up these 4 fields. And what you'll see now is as I click on them, you'll see the fields that I've defined that are going to go pick up this information. And so these big pink fields now is where we're searching for the information that we're looking to parse off. And this is the logic engine of the iCapture product. Now this step is just purely for demo purposes. This, in an automated process, this wouldn't exist, but I just wanted to show everybody that we've got the capability of doing a QA process in here. So if we actually wanted to look at all the documents before we push them out, we can invoke a QA process that allows us to go through each document and check to ensure that the information that we gathered off these files was correct before we actually archive it into SharePoint. So now what I'm going to do is the next part of this process is going to invoke the dual process, where it's going to actually push off one PDF file to one place and then it's going to go through a secondary process where it actually redacts or covers up that Social Security number, creates a secondary PDF, and then pushes it off to SharePoint as well. So what you'll see now is that it's going to basically tell us that it's going to push off to SharePoint once. Now it's going to go through and it's going to do the auto redaction based on the criteria I set up for Social Security number. Right, now it's migrated out to separate PDF files. So now let's take a look at SharePoint. So I'm using SharePoint 2013. And one of the things that SharePoint has done a very good job of in its evolution is that it has become more and more robust. And in 2013, they've actually now built a lot of tools into this environment that are pretty much out of the box that just require a little configuration to get them up and running. Now, because of the fact that I'm working with confidential documents or documents that may be bound by audit rules or bound by compliance, the Record Center is the perfect tool for this because it automatically, upon building this, invokes certain rules on the files. So what you're going to do now is we're going to take a look at the two different libraries that I've built. Now, in this library, this is an administrative view. So in the administrative view, we actually see the Social Security number that's visible. In the SharePoint environment, we are controlled completely by an Active Directory group and user policy environment where users only have the permissions set up by either what their user profile says or whatever groups they're involved in. Now, when we take a look at this file, we're going to take a look at the PDF file. You'll see here when I go into the properties of the document, we can view the properties, we can check it out, we've got version history. And what's nice down here is we've also got built in, because of the Records Center that we used, we've already got the compliance details set up in here. So as we've got compliance details, we can get in here and take a look at, we can set up a records retention policy. We've got the audit log, which we'll show you in a second. And then what I want to do right now is just open up the actual document. Open it. Now in here, you'll see that the Social Security number is completely visible to the user. So obviously, the person that would have rights to this would be of an administrative level. If I go over to the pension reports, which is going to be more of the public library, first of all, I don't have a column listing the Social Security number. And then also when I go into open the document, you'll see that my file is now redacted on that Social Security number. Now, in different document management systems, a redaction many times is a data layer, meaning that the actual PDF or TIFF image that's been handed off to the system has not been changed. And therefore, that redaction or that black bar that sits over the Social Security number is a data layer. And it's controlled by access controls of who gets to see it, who doesn't. And depending upon your access control, we'll just remove the data layer. Because of the fact that we did this in iCapture, this redaction layer on here is permanent. Therefore, somebody can actually grab this file and try to remove this, and we've actually changed the pixels on the PDF file. So this is 100% secure and confidential and cannot be broken to see what's under this. So that's a great plus in a compliance-based environment, and we can do this with any number of metadata fields just by setting up the logic around it. Now, in this demo, I've also set up, just for demo purposes, I've set up the audit log. So what this does is that in the Excel or in the SharePoint environment, they run Excel services, which means that we've got the ability to run certain Microsoft Office products natively in the product. And with the audit log enabled, what I can do is I can go in and I can see who's opened up a document, who it was, where it came from, what time it occurred, and what they did. So I can go in here, and if I had, if they edited the document, so if it was a native Word document, it would list it here as an edit. So now this becomes a very, very powerful tool, like I said, in compliance-based, especially if somebody gets into an audit situation. Now I've got an exportable report that would allow me to send this off to the auditors and it would show that we're within the rules of the compliance.